All right, we're live. We're talking about angry children today and how to turn rage into healthy, happy, cooperative kids. And yes, it is possible. We are Bonnie and
Thomas Leota.
yes, we are the founders of Creating Champions for Life. And that's exactly what we will help you do is create champions for life. And if you're here, you've been invited because you're part of the Raising Healthy, Happy, Cooperative Kids book study. And so everything that we share with you today here, all of the formulas, all of the information is inside that book, which you can download, learntospeakkid.com. If you're watching us on YouTube or somewhere else, you'll have to get the resources, and you'll also get the audio book. So if you're part of our group and you haven't got the audio book for Raising Healthy, Happy, Cooperative Kids, make sure to put a comment underneath the video and say, hey, I need the audio book, and we'll get that to you, because the information inside the book is absolutely life-changing. It's been described as the most real, relevant, and powerful information to exist for parents today. And it's different. It's different than anything else that you're going to find anywhere in the world when it comes to parenting. I believe, well, not I believe, I know that it is the most powerful, effective, and efficient way to parent, and empowering as well for you and your children. So I'm so happy to have you here. Can I get the audio book? Of course, yes. So if you're on Facebook, we can see who you are at the end of the presentation, but we're not sure who you are right this second. I want to point out before we share the 4 steps to turn rage into healthy, happy, cooperative kids. We've been taught a lot of things that are taking us down the wrong road. I see advertisements on my Facebook feed, positive parenting solutions. And she talks about how children need to fill 2 buckets, an attention bucket and a power bucket. We're taught that it's our children's job to test boundaries and push us and all sorts of weird things that really, when you wrap your head around what we're talking about here with Creating Champions for Life, you're going to be going, oh my gosh, where have you guys been my entire life? Because before I even say what I was going to say, Dr. John Gray, he wrote a parenting book. Like, I'm not sure what he was thinking about when he wrote a parenting book, but he wrote a parenting book. And in there, he says, when you go to the store, bring a chocolate bar and give your kid half a chocolate bar at the beginning, and then save the rest in case they start throwing a temper tantrum in the store. Then you have the other half of the chocolate bar.
So you can make it out of the store.
So you can make it out of the store without a temper tantrum. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like, our kids are not pets. Like, they're not like, I don't know, some different species from a different planet that we have to carry chocolate bars around to bribe them to get good behavior. Guys, our kids are human beings. They are mini yous. They have desires, they have goals, they have a spirit inside, they have a body, a mind, and a soul. When I hear power bucket, the way that it's described to us through other parenting methodologies is that, like, they fight for power. But here's the thing. Don't you like to have control over your own mind, over your own decisions, over your own life? Don't you like to learn the life skills that will help you create success with what's important to you? And I remember my mom saying one time, when she was about my age, 5 years younger than I am right now. And she goes, you know what, Bonnie? She goes, I still feel like I'm 20 until I look in the mirror and I see silver hair. It's the only way that I know that I'm older. Now that I'm almost 50 years old, the way that I know I'm older is because my hands get sore when I play video games. I'm like, oh, it sucks getting older. But honestly, like, when I look out my eyes, I'm the same person I was at 5 years old, at 10 years old, 15, 25, 30, 35. Only now I'm a little bit wiser than I was when I was 5 years old. Are you with me? If you're with me and you're here live, give me a thumbs up or something so I can see that we're on the right page, okay? So today we are going to share 4 tips, like the 4 steps to turn rage into healthy, happy, cooperative kids. And we have a cheat sheet that we've sent out to most of you. Again, if you need the cheat sheet, make sure to let us know. Just share a comment underneath the video is the easiest way. So let me just share our cheat sheet. And between Thomas and myself, if you're just getting to know us, oh, where did it go? Oh no. Okay. If you're just getting to know us, Tom and I have a combined experience in personal development of over 60 years. Oh my goodness. So that's what we're bringing: personal development, not counseling, therapy. Like a lot of our clients have done counseling and therapy for 5, 10 years before they find us. So we're coming from a personal development perspective here. And Thomas actually worked with kids his entire life, being the older brother, coached Little League Baseball, got into martial arts at 19. And in 1994, made a decision that when he had the opportunity to work with white belts in his school, that he was going to do the opposite of anything negative to teach them. And so he incorporated goals, plans, perseverance, life skill trainings. And in 1994, I read a book called Think and Grow Rich. I spent 18 years working with adults in business leadership. I took my team top 10 in the world in 2 different companies, but my children, when they were ages 6 to 13, were not personally developed at all. They were experiencing behavior issues, ADD, well, which is now called ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder, anxiety, depression, which would have turned into conduct disorder had I not met Thomas and learned that personal development, leadership skills in the home were going to get the same amazing results as leadership skills in business. So that's what we're bringing you here today, a brand new perspective. We do have some clients on with us. I would love if you could just think about hopping on at the end to ask a few questions. And if you're trying to get in the room, it may be full. And so at the end, we'll open it up. Someone will have a chance to speak. And then if you want to come on and ask us questions, we'll give you that opportunity to do so as well. All right. So the normal, typical way to parent is, Mommy, can I go to my friend's house? And then we say, no, you can't go to your friend's house because you didn't clean up your room. No, you can't go because you didn't do this. Basically, what I'm saying here is typical parenting puts you in total control of everything that your child does. And they need to come to you, ask permission, and just accept what you say. We are led to believe that children should be seen and not heard. We are led to believe that they should just obey orders. Every time you speak, they should just go, yes, ma'am, yes, yes, sir, I'll get right on it, without ever being trained, without ever being validated in what's important to them. So I'm going to hand it over to Tom, and he's going to share step number 1. We're turning rage into healthy, happy, cooperative kids. And could it be this simple?
Absolutely. It is extremely simple. And what is simple to do is also simple not to do. So the path, is it ever going to be easy? Never. Anybody tell you something is easy? Well, I would walk the other way and just leave it at that. So let's look at the numbers here. We've got ourselves a 1, 2, 3, 4. Anybody out there like music? Let's get that tempo going. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to create a new hypnotic rhythm to the positive side. And yes, it goes in a rotational order. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you get into this groove, you start seeing more smiles than frowns. And when you're out of this order, well, we already know what we produce because that's what brought you here today. So let's go with number 1. If you had to guess, when Bonnie already gave the idea, and we're going to have a little interaction. So we're going to go right into the chat here. So, Mom, can I go to my friend's house? Mom, can I have a cookie? Mom, can I play video games? Mom, can I stay up? You know the questions that they ask because you get asked 1,000 times a minute. And that's not an exaggeration for our moms, nor a yes. Let's see if a yes, so we can do a check and see if anybody's echoing back. Let's see some yeses come on in here.
Just a little delay. So
of course there is. There's always a delay. There we go. We'll start seeing them pop through. So what would you do? Yeah. Oh my God. Haha. Yes, absolutely. My kid does it. There we go.
My kid just does it without asking. Yeah, that's
right. Yeah. They're just cutting you right out of the corner there.
Yes.
So when we think about what's really happening here, you want to be able to go, oh my gosh, how many of us feel, oh, I hate this. I dread this. I feel like I'm on the what is it in court when you're on the stand and you're being drilled and you feel like, oh, I don't know what to say. As soon as I do, then all of a sudden I know that screaming and punching and kicking or something's gonna be right around the corner. So you feel like, what can we do to circumvent it? But what if you were to just take a moment and not really say yes or no, right? Not really say yes or no, but I were to just take a moment to hear them. And here's the word: validate. Number one is validate. So ask one of those questions again, Bonnie.
Hey, Mom, can I drive the car?
I would love for you to be able to drive the car. Ask another question.
Hey, can I go to Mexico with my friends?
Oh my goodness. I love Mexico too.
Can I get my belly button pierced?
Wow. Belly button pierced. That sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, whatever it is. Can I have 5 cookies before dinner?
Cookies? Everybody loves cookies.
You want me to keep thinking of questions?
Well,
I'm not that smart, okay?
We're giving the repetition here so you can see that this is not a what do you do here kind of thing. These are universal principles that are like gravity and will work for every single thing, because at the end of the day, our children, and this might be a way for you to reframe and see it from a different perspective. You're not there as a vending machine to just dole stuff out like an ATM without any kind of restrictions. I know we've been led down that path, and I don't need to ask you how well is it working, because it's not. But all we have to do is validate. You see, one of the neatest things that when I was working in the martial arts school, I had anywhere between 30 to 50 kids all day long. So when parents say, I got 3 to 5 kids, you don't know my pain. I'm like, well, times 10 what you got. And yes, I do. And so as they hear everything, I want this, I want to do that. And you're like, when I learned to validate, 9 times out of 10, they really didn't want it. They just wanted to be, type it in, starts with a H.
Yes.
There it is. Look at Nicole, quick on the trigger. Way to go, Nicole. Heard. Dawn, bam, right next. Heard. My goodness. What if, where have you been my whole life, right? All they want to do is be heard. And what I found through that training and working with these kids, 9 times out of 10, they really didn't want it right then. They were looking for attention, and validation feeds the attention. Now let's look to a universal truth, and let's take a peek at this. Every single offspring requires attention, and without it, they will perish or die. This is a universal truth. It's not an opinion. And so they're looking for attention to survive. And by being validated, that's number one, we're feeding what they're going to be doing and requiring.
Absolutely. So, I mean, think about this as a mom, or, even as a dad. You see a pair of shoes at the mall and you want to go buy shoes, and you mention it to your spouse and he goes, nope. You didn't clean up the bathroom good enough last week, so no way are you buying shoes. Over my dead body are you going to buy shoes? It's like, how would that make you feel? Would that make you feel a little bit angry? And if you were kept inside this box of control, somebody else was controlling every move that you make all day long, nagging at you, preventing you from reaching your desires, no validation at all. It's just, I'm in control of you, and oh my gosh, I'm responsible to pay for your trip to Mexico. I'm responsible if you drive the car and wreck it. So no, you're not driving the car. Are you with me? Yes. Resentful, right? We need to be heard. So here, I want you to think about this, because usually we just become a parent and we spend our whole parenting life reacting to circumstances. we need to take time to think. I've heard parents say like, oh, I can win any argument, or, if you push me, I could take you down. I could win this. It's like, who is it that is like desiring power and control? Is it really the child, or is it the parent? So here's my question for you to think proactively. What do you actually want as a parent for your children? What do you actually want at the end of the day? Do you want to win the power struggles? Do you want to be able to take your child down in an argument? Do you want to have that power? Or do you want to raise healthy mind, body, and soul, happy, cooperative kids? Because that is your desire. That's your goal. My goal is to have happy, healthy, cooperative kids. And when your goal changes, the way that you approach parenting will change also, won't it? Because now you're not sitting there in control of everything your child does. So put the opposite of validation. Like in number one, you could put outside the circle. You could put control. You can put power just outside the circle right here.
Got it.
All right. Because inside the circle is what we can do to cause our children to work with you as a team, to feel empowered. Right. And so outside is control, winning arguments, power. That is all outside of the circle that will bring you and your family down. Inside of the circle, we could put heard, be heard. You could put resentful, power outside of the circle. All right, resentment and power. I'm springing this on you, I know, because it's just coming to me as we go. Okay. All right. So the plans that I heard in personal development, always there was a certain amount of steps to success. Number one was you need to have a goal. Now you're going to have a goal, but your children also have desires and goals, don't they? So the powers, or the power principles of success don't just apply to you. We want to hand them down to our children. Wouldn't it be amazing if your child turned 14 and said, I have a goal to have a car, and they put it in writing, and then you could help them with a plan so that they can actually make a car show up for themselves, so that you aren't always the one going, yep, you can drive. No, you can't. You know what I mean? Okay, so powerful.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to move on to step number 2.
I remember one time Bonnie was sharing a story with her oldest daughter, Kira. And I think at this time, wasn't it around 10, 11, or 12 years old? And she was saying, I was over at my friend's house, and
oh yeah,
these kids over there, they were wanting to make out.
Oh no, every time we're together, every time I'm with my friend and whatever, they're making out all the time. And of course, you have an image in your mind of what making out is. And if I had said, oh, you're not going over there anymore, oh my gosh, over my dead body, thinking that I knew what she meant when she used the term making out, what would have that done to our relationship?
So yeah, we all go there and be like, okay, you're 10, 11, or 12 making out, right? That's called swap and spit for all of us that know this on that level. But how do you really know what it really, really means, rather than us projecting our doubts and our fears and our personal anxieties onto them, going, oh, there's no way you're going to be doing that at your age. And the child is going to be very, okay. And then this is what you do in step number 2. Begin to ask questions. Well, Kira, what is making out? Kira, what does making out look like? What does making out mean to you? And the list can go on and on and on. How many of us are with this idea that asking questions first might be a really smart idea, kind of like a job interview? They ask questions to gather more information so you can make a better decision. And I'm seeing them come in. Allison, yep. And Nicole, big thumbs up. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I was just learning Creating Champions for Life. So I was like, took a deep breath, and I'm like, You mean they were kissing? Like, you mean I think I might have even said tongue. Like, I think I'm like, you mean they were kissing with tongue? And Kira goes, ew, gross. No, they were just holding hands. And I'm like, oh, okay. So now I could understand. And they were 11.5, 12 years old, holding hands. And to them, that was making out. So inside the circle, you want to put, show that you care. Like, so inside the circle, put the word care, right? That what they're saying is important to you. So I care. I feel like what you have to say is important. I'm on the same page. I'm on your side. We put on your side. And then outside of the circle, we could put dictation, right? Absolutely not. Over my dead body. Are you ever going there again? And again, well, I guess control again would come down there. Anything that you can think as we go, oh, if I were to dictate, it would cause this emotion, a breakdown in relationship, anger, rage, all would belong outside of the circle. Because as long as you're going, oh my gosh, like that is so cool. Like, what does that mean to you? What does that look like? How can you make that show up for yourself? Tell me a little bit more. Who do you know that has that, does that, wants to be that? You're just asking questions. You're not there to be the person that is the be all, end all. And without me, you can't make anything work. Are you with me on this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's what dictation does. And just being that power person of no and yes puts you on opposite ends of the spectrum and creates the result opposite of what we all want, which is good, close connection with our kids and children who are confident and empowered.
Mm-hmm. Right. So back to that cookie. I want a cookie. Oh, I love cookies too. Do you know when we have cookie time? Because that's really what they're looking for are some how, when, and where.
Which moves on to step number 3.
Which is bringing us into step number 3. We want to be able to.
Yeah, I don't know how, like when I met Tom, I was telling you already at the beginning that they were all being diagnosed, but I had 4 kids. They were ages 6, 9, 11, and 12. And gosh, I was in control of everything that they did. When I had vacation coming up, I decided where we went. I packed all the bags. I cleaned the house. I cooked all the meals. I was like, mom, mom, mom. And I would run up and down the stairs like a servant to my children. It was like they lived in a hotel or something like that. And they had everything their hearts would ever desire without ever having to earn anything or work towards anything or think about, I want to have this as a goal and let me work towards it. And let me ask you this. When we're coming up to something exciting, a wedding, Christmas Day or something like that, when we're working towards something as an adult, I want a brand new car, I want a new couch, and we know that, and we work towards it, and we save the money, and then we go out and we buy the car, or we have Christmas Day. When is the most amount of joy actually experienced? Is it on Christmas Day or the day after Christmas Day? Like, or is it in the creating? Is it in the expectation of it? Is it in the planning? Is it in all of the stuff that we do leading up to the day? It's the anticipation. Joy resides in our spirits and our hearts when we are working towards something that makes us feel good, because literally we are creators. None of us are victim to circumstance. But when we are in 100% control of every move our child makes, we make them victims in society. We make them victims to circumstance. They have no inner power. So when you read about or hear about in other parenting books or whatever that your children crave power, well, don't you? But it's not power over you. They crave power over themselves. They crave personal empowerment, and they have the same spirit as you do and the same sense of joy when you can. Step number 3, just go right to it because I set it up.
Show them.
Yes. Show them.
Show them what it looks like. You know, when we go back to the cookie, because this seems to always be the best one. Mom, can I have a cookie? Love for you to have a cookie. Validate, right? Hey, are you looking for one cookie, two cookies, or three cookies? Would you like the ones that I made or the ones that we can find in the store? You go through all your interviewing questions and then you're like, wow, well, you know, I know when cookie time is. Do you? And then I can show them that when I have my dinner and I finish my plate, that I put the food on and I finished it. Now that's how I, as the big kid, better known as the adult, that's how I earn cookie time, because cookie time is right after dinner. So I show them, not tell them. This is key. Showing them taps into the universal principle of learning called monkey see. Let's type it in for our smart ones that love to interact. Monkey see. And here it comes. You can feel it typing and it's being sent. Monkey do. That's right, Celine. Excellent job. That's right, Allison. You got it. That's right, Don. Monkey see, monkey do. If you're doing anything other than monkey see, monkey do, well, I just ask you again, how well is that working for you? Because 9 times out of 10, you're going the wrong direction. Telling is dictating. Monkey see is showing. That is a 180 difference between frowns to smiles, guaranteed.
Yeah. Hey, if you're liking what we're talking about here today, if this is making sense for you, if you can see that as we take control off ourselves and we allow our children to have a little bit of sense of control over their own lives, if this is making sense for you, give us a like or a heart or a comment or something on the video so we can know that we are on the same page. If there's something that we're missing, a question, a comment, or observation, let us know right now so that we can address it before we come to the end of today's little lesson here. Okay. Now, inside the circle, show them what they need to do to make it show up. Hey, Mom, can I go on a trip to Mexico? Well, awesome. Then you ask them some questions and then you show them. That's how much money do you need to go to Mexico? What's going to happen there? You allow them to do a little bit of research on their own and make a plan. And it might be, okay, so in 2.5 years, you know, when you're 16, when you're 17, when you're 18, we can make that happen for you. And in the meantime, if we can work a part-time job and put some money in a bank account over the next couple of years, you'll have enough money to take yourself to Mexico. Does this make sense? Thumbs up? Okay, inside the circle, you're going to put joy. Joy is in knowing what to do to make what's important to you actually show up. Purpose is going to go inside the circle as well. Oh, my life has meaning. My life has purpose. Responsibility can go inside the circle. You might want to write a little smaller than we did over here to be able to fit this in. But I'm just trying to make a point. You can make the circle bigger if you need to. Outside the circle, you want to put rage, no reason for living, depression, anxiety will live outside of the circle. When they have no idea how to make something that they want show up, that's where anxiety comes in. You see, when you're a goal-oriented, solution-oriented person and you have a plan and you get up every morning and you're working that plan towards the end desire, there's no time for anxiety. There's no time for depression. And maybe you're an adult here and you've never been taught the formula of setting yourself a goal, creating a plan, putting in writing, deciding the price you're willing to pay. So often kids will go, I want that $700 bike. And then the mom goes, oh, okay, they just starting to learn creating champions for life. They're like, oh, okay, here's your plan. Keep your room clean every day for a year and keep your hands to yourself. And the children don't seem to actually work towards it. It's because they're not willing to pay the price to have what they want show up. But if you buy it for them or give it to them or provide it to them for free, well, of course they're going to take it. I mean, think about this. There's a welfare system definitely in North America. Think about going into the state of Texas and announcing one morning, hey, we're cutting off the welfare system without any goal, like without any plan or without any lesson, without showing you how to actually replace the income, what do you think would happen in the state? And I'd be looking for an answer in the comments as well as we move forward. So I also wrote self-control and self-discipline would show up inside the circle as well. Yeah, they would start rioting. Do you think there would be some? Yeah, riots are caused. Why? Because inside they feel a rage, right? They feel angry. Hey, you're in control. You just took my power away and you didn't even give me the life skills on what to do to replace my income. Yes, you're going to see riots, you're going to see chaos, you're going to see rage, you're going to see all of these things. So, all right, we're moving on to step number 4.
Mhm.
And this is well, I want to say the most important part, but it's all important. So,
Excellent. Let's go ahead and take a moment. If anybody would like to give a guess, these are for our thinkers out there, the ones that are proactive. I know, Nicole, you love to know already mindset, what the next slide looks like. Type it in if you have a good guess on what number 4 is.
okay, and in the meantime, like type of example with an 11-year-old gets very angry when something fails, like a video game controller. Yes. Well, do you want to actually answer that for Sandra?
Sure.
Because I mean, yeah, that it might take some time to learn how to master our own emotions. And if we've not gone through this process from the age of 1 all the way through to the age of 11, what I'm going to suggest before I pass it to Tom is we begin to look at that type of behavior through educational lenses. He's doing something wrong, there's something wrong with him. We are all born with only one way to communicate, right? When we're newborn babies, we're born with the ability to cry to get what we want. And unless we start to make the transition of goal, plan, action, perseverance at the age of 2 and beyond, and Nicole, you're here, maybe you can talk about your toddler too, because she was, I think, 2 when you started here. But if we don't start to make that transition, then when they're 11 years old, when something goes wrong or they want something or need something, the only way they're going to know how to get what they want is through crying. So we're going to start making the transition.
Okay. And thank you, Nicole, for jumping in
That
and
was
saying,
Sandra. Sorry.
thank you, Nicole, for jumping in and saying perseverance.
Oh.
Right on the guess. You're absolutely correct. Because in the short one is it means we believe they can learn, which means get out of the way. Stop overcompensating. Stop doing it for them. Stop bribing and let them have a chance to struggle. It's the struggle that builds the character. We all had to struggle when we walked. Nora, yes. Ride a bike. Nora, yes. Drive that car. Nora, yes. Go on that first date for the kiss. Nora, yes. Right? It is a part of the natural process. And when we can ditch this idea that's been imprinted on the moms that for you to be a good mom, you got to be the do all be all. My goodness, what animal in the animal kingdom that bears offspring does that except for man? That's the key. So you're right. Believe they can learn. So as you're putting in your notes, then go ahead and do so. So Sandra, can you use this type of example with an 11-year-old? First and foremost, does gravity affect us all? And the answer is yes, equally the same. So the answer here is yes. Everything we do is universal principles. Age is irrelevant, first and foremost. So know that no matter where you are, this can, does, and will apply for you when you can use it in the right way. So gets very angry when something fails, like video game controller. Perfect. The first thing that comes into my mind is everything's working perfectly. Because what do you do when something doesn't work? We default to the anger side. And so in this particular case, we want to go right back into it. The root word is anger. I see you are angry about something. Am I understanding you correct? Question mark. Validate. Ding, 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 ding. Huh. Well, what did you do? Or has this happened before? And if so, what did you do last time? Ding, 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 ding. Asking questions to gather more information. Are you looking for a solution, or would you like to just cry it out? Asking questions. Then, what do you do to go from angry? What's the opposite of anger? Maybe joy. What do you do to go from anger to joy? Because if you don't know, then that's the hole in the bucket before you can actually help them. So just like in the airplane, you put the mask on first before you help your child. Because if you put it on the child first and you can't yourself, you'll die, then you both die. Make sense? Nor yes. Give me a thumbs up, put in a yes. There we go. Absolutely. So once again, Sandra, go right into the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It works for everything when you know how to work it. So you might even start thinking about, well, I'm a mom or I'm a dad. Well, what if you were to change your mindset and give it a little bit of a shift and be like this? I'm not just any dad. I'm a Creating Champions for Life dad. Stand up, Mom.
Well, I will.
I'm not just any mom.
I'm not just any mom.
I'm a Creating Champions for Life mom.
Yes, I have something to say.
You see, your mindset is going to show whether you're in this new hypnotic rhythm or you're back to the chaos. Either way, they both work perfectly.
Yeah, and just to finish up this conversation that we're having right here, I wrote down proactive. See, child gets on the video game. Oh, he gets angry, has a temper tantrum. Now we're reacting to the temper tantrum. So we cannot be logical with anger, right? Think about when you're angry about something and your spouse goes, you should just be happy. You know, it's like, okay, I'm going to get more angry. So maybe like number one, who provided the video game in the first place? Did he actually work towards earning his video game console and now it's there and he can feel really grateful and proud of himself and something that he can take care of because he made it show up? And if you're anything like I was, I bought the Xbox, I put it in the basement. And so when my son was 13, when I was just learning, he's 24 now, but when he was 13, I actually went down with please don't do this. I did this because it had been a certain amount of time and I realized he didn't earn it. And so I went down with a garbage bag one day and I just packed it up and there was no more video game. Then what happened is he went out and he got a part-time job. He bought his own Xbox and there was no more temper tantrums. I'm just saying. So where you're at right now, you need to practice what you can do to master your emotions before you play video games. So yeah, exactly. Role play. Some life skills that I'm thinking right now is teaching your son to breathe when he gets upset. Take a deep breath, right? Blow out 2 or 3 times. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. These are just missing life skills that your son needs so that he can actually navigate through life through frustrating experiences as he moves into adulthood. Remember, I said a little bit earlier, what is your goal as a parent? When we're focusing on the end result, I want my son to be independent. I want him to master his emotions. When we begin with these goals, we approach it much differently. We approach it with educational lenses versus behavioral lenses, and we are proactive about it. So if he wants to play video games again, we're going to take 5 minutes to practice what to do when your controller doesn't work or something happens in the game. And these are the 3 things we're going to do. When you follow these, you take time to breathe and you follow the role play. That means I want to play longer. When you choose to have a temper tantrum, you're saying, I'm all done for the day. Repeat back after me. And then we're moving into step 4, which is
believing they can learn. Angry is natural. We're supposed to have, you can't get rid of it, but there's a universal principle that we teach called law of polarity. which means the opposite of anger could be joy. And what if you got a chance for the first time to be introduced to Angry Andy? I got Angry Andy in me too. It's
do.
natural to be angry. And matter of fact, Angry Andy does have a purpose in our life. But who is his twin? Ah, joyful. Maybe that might be joyful John. John that's joyful. Okay, they walk in pairs. And it's very simple to understand that when you choose one over the other, one of them will get your attention and stay. The other one instantly disappears in a nanosecond. You have a God-given gift called free will, which means we can choose Andy or John at that moment. This is a missing life skill that we don't have time to go into it deep today, but know that it exists. And when you learn this and you believe that they can learn to go, oh, Angry Andy's here. Where's his twin? There's joyful John. Do I get to choose? Yes, we do.
Yes.
And you can actually be in control of your own destiny, your own faith, and your own direction. And that's the neatest thing that we, as the king in the animal kingdom, can and should be doing. Because when we can, boy, doesn't it feel good to be in the driver's seat versus the passenger seat, or in the back seat, or maybe in the trunk with the luggage, out of sight, out of mind? Where would you like to be in your own life? And all our kids are asking for is, when do I get a turn to be in the driver's seat for myself?
For themselves. And that's not too much to ask, right? They're human beings. We can't get upset and angry at our children because they're upset. We need to just take a step back and go, it's my job to show you how to handle adversity. Because, oh my gosh, we're raising our kids in some sort of fantasy land that doesn't exist in the real world. And so if they're not taught how to step up and master their emotions when they're children, it just doesn't go away. They're not going to outgrow it someday when they're 30 and go, now I know how to master my emotions. And so, I mean, gosh, if you're here and you're like, gosh, this makes so much sense and I need some help, we're here to help you. We are personal development coaches. Thomas spent his whole life working with children. He could take up to 100 children with a couple of volunteers out on field trips. And these were the worst behaved children in the state of Washington that were sent to his after school program because he was the only alternative to daycare. And most of these kids were getting kicked out of daycare. So that's where Creating Champions for Life was born. I spent 18 years studying personal development, what makes human beings tick. I actually, had real application in a leadership role. My last team that I built was over 10,000 strong. And so I was a personal development coach, which is why I could see the brilliance of Creating Champions for Life, because every time my kids asked for something, I would be like, no, you're not doing that. And Tom would be like, hey, that's called a goal. And I'd be like, goal? We could be goal-oriented parents. Like, this is so cool. And the results are just absolutely outstanding. So inside the circle of believe, you want to put, this is where confidence comes from for your children. Confidence, self-worth, right? Outside of the circle, you want to put shy, unworthy, victims, bullies. These all exist outside of the circle of whether you believe your child can step up into their greatness or not. They want to please you. Things that have changed over the last 100 years, because we didn't have child behavior disorders 100 years ago, right? The term terrible twos didn't exist 100 years ago. We know this. Teenage rebellion didn't exist 100 years ago because teenagers were actually adults out living their lives, getting married and having babies. 2-year-olds had a role in the home. If they wanted to eat dinner, they helped with chores. There was no question. Parents had more children so that they had more hands to work on the farm. Today, we have children because we want to love them. And it's just not enough. Our children want more than just hugs and love. They want the life skills. They want responsibility. They want purpose. They want to have the right to have desires. And they need the right to be angry sometimes too. So then let's lead by example. Instead of getting angry with them, go, it's time to take a breath. Let's breathe. And I will talk to you when you are calm. So that is our 4 steps to turn rage into
Let's open that.
Healthy, happy, cooperative kids. Nicole, are you open to come on and just talk about this a little bit, because your son was experiencing some rage when you first found us, and you also had a toddler as well. So,
Yes.
hi, welcome, Orange Belt.
Hi. Yeah, Rowan's 9.5 and Kalina's 4 now. It's been 2 years.
Yeah. So share, what are you seeing with these 4 steps that we just talked about today, and how they can help children become healthy and happy?
Yeah, so Rowan, he was on his way probably to being diagnosed like your son with oppositional defiant disorder. They were throwing around terms like conduct disorder and things like that. It was pretty terrifying. Um,
Oh, her phone rang. Da-da-da-da.
She's right back.
Scam called. So it was always like anything, like we go outside. Oh, it's a beautiful day. No, it's not. It was just like everything was like a constant negative thing. And there's still those moments. I mean, that floats up. It's not an immediate cure, because I and my husband, we didn't know any better, and we were dealing him all of these poor choices for so many years. But we know that now, and we apologize to him, and we're completely transparent with him. And so what happens now is that we have these steps, and the biggest shift is actually us, because I I realize that they're the best testers, and I keep that in my mind every time these things come up. So I start with step one or step two, and he tests me. And instead of getting angry, like, oh, here we go again, we're gonna have a fight. Is this what it's gonna be like today? That was the old stuff. And now it's like, oh, here's my test. So I get to go back into, that great leadership role that I didn't know how to do then. And heal. And so even if we're role playing, and playing these games, and he comes in all grumpy and stuff, great. You're accepted here. This is what we're going to do today, and if this is how you want to show up, great. I love you. And in the moment you can be like, oh, he's not listening, oh, he's just being defiant. But now I know, because we've been through so many of the repetitions, that it all gets in no matter what. Because days later the situation pops up, and he's in total control of himself.
Yeah.
Got in.
Amazing.
Okay, that for him to show up that way still, because he's still healing. And the cool part with Kalina was that we started so early with her, and it's kind of funny, and I feel bad for them sometimes, but there's an emotional connection. So he's like, oh, Kalina always gets this or that so easily. But now I know to say, oh, you want to be like your sister, because and we get to be transparent now, and he's like soaking it in. Yeah, Kalina was younger when we started this program, and so yeah, she's had it a little bit easier because we knew a little bit more. And now we're showing both of you, and you can even show her all the stuff that you know now, and he does. And I'll bring up examples of like, hey, now you're like the big brother hero in her life. So she'll be really on board, and it's a good example for him, because it flows a little bit easier for her because she started so early. So she's like, how can I plan this? Like, she's how can I plan to go to the beach? And instead of we'll be at the store. I think we were at we were at a playground yesterday, and she saw a toy that another kid had. I think it was like a scooter or something, and she said, mommy, wow, look at that. How can I want to buy that. I want to
Yes.
myself, and I was like, say it louder, everybody should hear.
My gosh, you got this little 4-year-old little adult walking around going, okay, that's a goal. Let me make a plan. How can I actually make this happen for myself? That's so powerful.
So for him to hear that, it gets in there, and it's that step number 4, just believe it. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Do you have anything you want to say?
Well, would you be open to share a a dark, ugly side of what something was like before you started? Because parents are going to be thinking, well, she just got a lucky draw. And, let me tell you what's going on over here. I feel like I have a demolition crew in my house. Or, oh my gosh, I can't go out in the public at all, or something like that. Would you be open to actually let them know that we're all on the same side, experiencing not the good and the bad, but the real ugly?
Yeah, sure. So, the little experience I had with being around kids growing up, or having an overcompensating mom, and lacking a lot of life skills for myself. I think Kalina was 18 months, and Rowan was younger. I think he was 6 or something, and it was my mother-in-law's wake at my husband's grandfather's house. And so I'm home waiting for Kalina to wake up from her nap, because I didn't know how to, you know, do things with a napping kid or whatever. So everything was surrounded me, her nap. And then Rowan was with Tim. And then I showed up, and Rowan, he just, it was a new situation. I'm sure he was feeling lots of different things, but I didn't know how to talk to him about it. And there were other kids there, and so it's like the middle of this, wake funeral situation. He's running around, and all the kids are kind of playing together, and they're like, "Why does he keep doing this?" Like, he's like poking them to chase him, and I didn't know how to talk to him. I didn't know how to, navigate any of that. Like, in our minds, the therapists are like, "Oh, he needs social skills. He's got sensory disorder." And I'm like, I don't know what to do in this situation. So I just wanted to flee. I just wanted to get out. And I had the baby and all that. So I said to him, "Look, you be with your family. I'm going to get out of here. Help me get in the car." And of course, it was just like, I'm just taking this kid out of the situation that he wanted to play. And so he kind of explodes on the way to the car, and he punched me in the face. And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, yeah. I mean, like, I want to cry, but um, I'm like, you better get him in the seat. I'm going to kill him. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you were seeing you had therapists, you had a bunch of different things that you were putting Rowan through when you found us.
Yeah. It was, I think 3.5, because we noticed things, but we're like, let's see if he grows out of it. Let's love him so much that he's gonna be better, And then everybody else was like, something's wrong with him. You need to go get him evaluated. So we had 2 options. It was either ignore it or go to a therapist or a doctor, and that's what we did. And we just kind of, kept following their advice. And we were super uncomfortable in that situation, because all they did was bribe.
Right.
It was just a huge bribing situation, and it was very secretive too, because it's like, "Oh no, mom, you need to stay out in that room because it distracts him." And I'm like, "But I want to learn all the stuff you're doing because I'm home with him." And they're like, "Well, you need to bring him 3 times a week for us to be with him for an hour or 2 at a time." And he was terrified. He hated it. It was just a struggle every single week.
And what are you seeing now with Rowan? Do you think something's actually wrong with him, or do you think he might be a leader of the world?
There's no wrong. If there's something that's puzzling, there's a solution now. So, even if there's an imbalance or something off, we don't look at it as something's wrong with him. Just like us, when we don't feel good, or we have a situation, it's like you don't run to like get a pill or something, or like, call a professional. It's like, okay, what are our options here, and what do we not know about this? It's clear, and he's more open and honest, and sure about himself. He was probably terrified, thinking that there was something wrong with him too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, and so you can honestly say he's gone from rage to healthy, happy, and cooperative.
Yes.
That's so awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. You said something?
No, that's good.
Okay, I think we're going to wrap up. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your story, Nicole. It's so powerful for all the other moms that are out there not knowing what to do. And there is an answer. It's called Creating Champions for Life. So if you want to get the Raising Healthy, Happy, Cooperative Kids book, learntospeakkid.com will give you the audiobook, give you all the resources. You can learn all the powerful messages, why your kids are angry, the formula to create healthy, happy, cooperative kids. And just before we wrap up, was anybody else, Celine, did you want to share something, or are you just happy to be here? You can just say no, or no, you're good. Okay. All right, everybody. I'm going to bring you all on so we can do our what?
Help me. I need help.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So sorry. No, you can say it. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh my God.
Does it help me?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
All right. So sometimes, this sounds great and it's like, yay, I feel great. And then all of a sudden you go right back and, right? Because we create a euphoric feeling here. But if you really want to make authentic, real change, I think we're going to use the keyword today, say, help, please, or help me in the chat. Then we know which one of you that are looking to take the next step. So we can work with you and give you exactly a parenting path to paradise, step-by-step plan, absolutely free. Whether you hire us or not, you'll know exactly what to do.
Yes.
For yourself. And knowing, as G.I. Joe would say, is half the battle. So put in help me or please help in the chat. And that way, Allison will be out in touch with you and be able to give you the next step of where you can be with your kids, creating healthier, happier, and more cooperative kids.
Absolutely. Okay, so if you can come on with us, I'm going to add you to the stream. You don't have to talk or anything, but we're going to close out together. Allison, Nicole, and Eve, your device isn't connected. I can't bring you on, but yeah, those are the cameras I see. So on the count of 3.
This is where we all say, here's to our parenting success. So until we meet again, here's to our parenting success. Cheers.
Bye for now.